and action. Watching my content, one might ask themselves, what the hell does this guy do? What is LXMNV.com? What is LXMNV Garage? Who is this weird white guy talking about some Christian stuff? So to me, it's all kind of one thing, right? So going through life as a dude, I'm I've faced a few hurdles. And so I've been kind of into entrepreneurship for a while. And while I was studying accounting, I started a car wash business. While I was doing these cheap car washes, people were asking for more intricate type of services. But I started this business with intent to understand accounting because I was studying accounting at the moment, like 2015, 2014, right? I just got my AA certificate. It was like, hey, I got hopefully less than 2 years before I get my some kind of fancier degree. And so while I was studying accounting, I started washing cars out of my driveway. $20 car washes became $40 car washes, became $100 car washes, became $200-300 details. And then people were like, can you fix a dent? Can you fix some rust? Can you replace a quarter panel? Can you put a body kit on there? And so over time, that expertise grew, right? But me being a thinker, me being a slightly intellectual, artistic, writing type of individual, I've I've been doing my own marketing. I've been doing my own website. I've been doing my own promos. I've been actually talking to these customers, and some of these customers are bosses, right? And some of these customers who can afford to just regularly spend money on to have their cars detailed and shined and kind of be on the up and up with things. Well, they have different form of conversations, right? So here I am, little 25-year-old dude. I'm just entering my party phase. And I'm talking to these rich people, right? Anyways, so I had to go and learn a couple of things so that I had a couple my business was kind of doing okay, which it never was. I'm more of a creative, right? So as soon as I learn something good enough, I move on to the next thing to learn to keep myself occupied, because I'm assuming, like, if I learn how to ride a bicycle, right? I'm an adult. I spent 2-3 hours trying to ride a bicycle, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty confident with it. Well, I wouldn't dedicate um, the next 90 hours to learning how to ride a bicycle. I would assume that next time I pick up a bicycle, I'm gonna get some practice in, right? So same thing with as soon as I learned how to become pretty decent at car detailing, I assumed that people are just gonna keep calling me, and then with future experience, my expertise was gonna grow, right? Same thing with auto body work. Five years ago, I was like, oh, I kind of know what I'm doing. Let me start selling this as a service that just kind of me myself, the builder, as the brand. And then when I go work for somebody else, I assume that that workplace is my favorite customer, and so I give them the best of my efforts, right? Which kind of become to include a little bit more than just like auto body shop services, because I can also do the website, I can help promote, I can make content, I could help in the paint booth, I can help in the office, I can order parts, I can do the estimates. So I just became a little bit more useful because I seeked all of this type of experience. And part of that is you got to answer the phone and say yes to quite a few projects. And sometimes you lose, sometimes you don't. But in the end of things, experience is actually quite valuable. So yeah, I build cars, I think with stuff, and because I had a child, I've started learning how to play with little toy cars and motorcycles and stuff like that because I'm anticipating him having a good life and me trying to edit what I know so that he can experience some of the services that I offer, but also it's like a future bond situation, right? I'm getting ready to spend more quality time with my son. And part of that is going to be showing him that we can build some stuff, we can enjoy it, we can, is there's a different type of fulfillment that comes with just playing with stuff, right? And it's also useful enough that should I ever should I ever need a job, I have an impressive enough resume to be like, hey, I've been doing this for 10 years, blah blah blah. So I'm still a car guy, and I've been trying to think about phasing out into my writer role because this last year I wrote a couple books, composed a couple courses, did the website. I'm composing PNW Thrive network type of thing to where I'm going to write articles about local businesses, and then I'm going to see if we can connect and if we can able to business together, but B, I can connect people too, right? Like, hey, I just worked with a grocery store, did some photography. I'm not very good at photography. Let me outsource some of this work to a local guy. And then I also know an up and coming winemaker who could make a great feature on a shelf. So it's just I want to be able to help connect a little bit more dots for people, for myself, right? The more useful I am, the better it is for me, right? So I can fix cars to a degree that I'm not necessarily marketing like let me fix your stuff for $200. I'm marketing classic car restorations, which are $25,000, $50,000 and more, right? And if I were to offer a discount on that, some people who know that it's quite an expensive process, but they want their car done, maybe we can meet in the middle somewhere and talk about that. But the people who have the extra money to make a call like that also have achieved a few things in life. And so that was the need for me to further study, right? So I didn't want to just be a dumb redneck. I enjoyed the craftsmanship side of things, playing with cars and meeting people as an entrepreneur. So I stuck with cars. But the idea is to also study life and be successful in my own version, right? And so sometimes that's a little bit confusing. Like, why is he doing car stuff? Why is he doing saying he's an author? Well, life is quite complex, right? So I usually am a car professional to a degree with a side detour of specialty and restorations and custom and body kits and doing fiberglass stuff, and I'm trying to learn how to work on motorcycles and toys so that I can take scraps and put it together into something fun. And whether I enjoy it for myself or sell it, that's going to be entirely up to however the mood comes out. But usually I build stuff and I sell it, right? And sometimes the challenge is let me get a whole bunch of free stuff, fix it up, and see if it's beautiful enough to sell. That's the hustle 101 principle, right? And because I had a shop, right? My shop was filled to the brim with all the work that I could ever want. I was there 7 days a week. I was super behind. I was just in such demand that I concluded that there's only so much time that I can sell. Therefore, I'm starting to trying to multiply my efforts, right? So yes, I do car stuff, which can be time consuming, but I also compose the website so that if 1,000 people were to visit it with need of a little bit of guidance and information about their own business, they could help themselves. And then boom, that would be good for my brand, right? I'm a source of some form of knowledge. And so what I've been doing is fleshing this out. And then I think it's only appropriate. Let's see, we talked about some personal transformation. We talked about trying to live a good life. We talked about a couple business principles. We talked about the fact that I do cars. So far, this has not been like a marketing company type of thing. And as far as I know, this is an art project that I'm trying to build up to be an actual company. And that takes a little bit of homework, a little bit of initial effort, right? Before the money comes, before the connection comes. So far I wrote maybe 150 local business articles. Some of them are connected with Google reviews, with posts on Pinterest and other social media, so that my brand is kind of getting interweaved into the Pacific Northwest. And so that not only can I fix your car, but I can also come by your business, take a couple videos, make a couple posts, write a review, and that in itself should hopefully bring like a wave of attention towards your brand, right? So I wanted to get to a point to where when LXMNV puts out an article, it makes a little bit of a splash. And I think because I've been kind of hacking at it with my author stuff and book talks and my ideas, I kind of like it. So with time, right? If I do it for long enough, and my speech becomes better, my stage becomes better. I incorporate some kind of more visuals instead of just a dumb conversation. Well, anyways, so the goal of what I'm trying to do is I kind of tied my car stuff to my intellectual interests and business to business services, right? Mind you, I tried quite a few things, and although some things work, not everything's sustainable. And so that's kind of what I've been trying to diagnose is if I were to tell my broke friends some good business advice, what would I really be trying to tell them? It's not going to be like get rich quick scheme, because just do whatever you can to get rich, scam whoever, and they'll see you on the other side if you survive. But it's more of a let's build something worthwhile that you know for a fact that you can, like, we can do for a long term and leave a positive impact not only for ourselves and for our people, but also in the community that we're in. So currently I'm in like Everett, Marysville area. And so the first thing I did was write 130, 150 business articles, and then with intent of 500 or more to make these connections, right? And then I also have 18, 20 courses up. So that's probably going to be my next thing to discuss is these, with my book, 50 Shades of Ramen, which is about business side hustles. I broke down a few chapters into courses so that we can dive deeper and there's questions. And then I'm if there's interest enough in any of the courses, then I'll maybe hold some live classes and do some live videos and workshops and this and that. So the goal is for me to also become a better teacher, because like in order for some truly magnificent and some huge change to happen in this world, I'm the dream has to be more than just about me, right? The dream has to be more like outer serving the value, right, that we provide. And so if I can infect 10 millionaires with this idea and they run their companies better, well, that, I don't know, it just multiplies so nicely. And I'm just one guy, right? One guy talking to the video, which hundreds see. If 10 people kind of like it, then they pitch it to their 1,000, right? By then, it's like 10,000 people talking to their friends about just trying to live a better life. And we've already been doing that, but it's just mine has a little bit more je ne sais quoi to it. Okay. I said, yep. I'm still talking to the robot. I said, yep, analyze my website for usefulness and flow and design, and summarize to me who you think we are and what we do. At its core, LXMNV is a faith-driven personal transformation brand disguised as a creative agency. Pin me down so well. My goodness, the computer knows. So yes, LXMNV is like a creative agency. I think marketing is very artistic, it's very creative. You got to be kind of outside the box to get some of your points and visuals across, just because there's so much fucking traffic, right? We got to just keep exploring new ways to reach new audiences and troubleshoot as we go. However, my niche is this personal transformation, that if I think I'm living a good life, perhaps I am, you know? And so, how do we make sure? Some of that is making good decisions, some of that is seeing the bigger picture, some of that is knowing that the shitty leaders make for a very poor environment. And so, the goal is to raise up the standard a little bit so that the little guy doesn't get screwed over so badly. You represent yourself as consultancy and branding, strategy, and content, a media creative studio. Yep, we make content. A self-development movement. Yep. So I don't want to be your therapist. I'm just hoping that you want better for yourself, and here's some information. And a spiritual leadership philosophy. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that the higher you rise up in responsibility and leadership, the more you look up to God, the Almighty, the Creator, and the Bible, and the foundation and the basics of things, right? And so, because I too was trying to think how to build a business, how to leave lasting change, how to make sure that my kids and his kids could walk in the good graces of my name, right? Or our name, or whatever, right? And so, yeah, at its core, like to some point, we kind of think alike. So we're not too crazy. What you're really trying to do, underneath the language, your mission is very clear. You're trying to create leaders who see themselves as sovereign, self-governing, disciplined, and purpose-driven, and then use business, creativity, faith, and community to break cycles of poverty and ignorance. Okay, you got me. Okay, this concept shows repeatedly in your blah blah blahs, all my little key points. If your core identity, how you come across. If I had to summarize who you are a modern day philosophical movement mixed with Christian leadership doctrine, delivered through creative agency, brand consultancy, or an art project. Blah, blah, blah. What you actually do is creative business services, branding, storytelling, marketing, strategy, consulting session. You have some educational products. You got courses, you got books and written materials. And then you have the movement and the ideology, which is the sovereign architecture, the leadership doctrines, faith-based transformation, and even the homeless solution, which is the human condition solution, right? So last point, I guess. Designing, blah, 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 what weakens you, your bigger strength, your biggest risk, your biggest risk, she said about my website. You may lose 90% of potential clients before they understand you because you speak in deep symbolic language immediately instead of me meeting people where they're at. Based on everything It summarized the website, which was what I was actually trying to do. Clean summary. LXMNV is a faith-based creative consultancy that helps individuals and brands grow, but its deeper mission is to build a movement of self-governing, purpose-driven leaders who reshape society through discipline, identity, and creation. That sounds pretty cool. I think I'm about to rock with that. A faith-based creative consultancy. That sounds pretty good. Purpose-driven leaders who reshape society through discipline, identity, and creation. All right. I guess that's what I've been up to.